The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Raine Musñgi. Catch up with us on Newsfeed Business. U.S. President Donald Trump said Ukraine would be involved in peace talks with Russia. This comes after Kyiv and its European allies warned against a dirty deal between Washington and Moscow following Trump's call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Trump said Ukraine would have a seat at the table during any peace negotiations with Russia over ending the war. Trump's unilateral overture to Putin on Wednesday, accompanied by apparent concessions on Ukraine's principal demands, raised alarm for both Kyiv and European allies in NATO, who said they feared the White House might make a deal without them. On Wednesday, Trump made the first publicly acknowledged White House call with Putin since Russia's February 2022 full-scale invasion, and then followed it up with a call to Zelensky. Trump said he believed both men wanted peace.
Of course they would. I mean, they're part of it. We would have Ukraine, we would have Russia, and we'll have other people involved too. A lot of people, a lot of forks in this game. I'll tell you what, this is a very interesting situation, but the Ukraine war has to end, and it's a ridiculous war, and it has to end. We had a good talk with President Putin. I had a good talk with President Zelensky. Very good talk.
Do you believe him?
Yeah, I do. I believe he wants peace. I believe that President Putin, when I spoke to him yesterday, I mean, I know him very well. Yeah, I think he wants peace. I think he would tell me if he didn't. I'd like to see peace.
Do you trust President Putin?
I believe that, I believe that he would like to see something happen. I trust him on this subject. I think he'd like to see something happen. More importantly, you lost millions of people. A lot of soldiers, but you lost millions of people. When they knocked down those cities and they're all laying down on the side, they're laying down just in ashes and all crumbled up concrete. They literally look like a world-class demolition site.
The U.S. president also said Russia should be readmitted to the group of 7 nations. Russia's financial markets soared and the price of Ukraine's debt rose at the prospect of the first talks in years to end Europe's deadliest war since World War II. Market reaction to a phone call between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump was too much and will correct itself in the future. The Russian ruble and stocks surged on Thursday after a telephone conversation between Trump and Putin in which the two leaders discussed ways to end the Ukraine war. The ruble was up 3.4% at 90.80 against the U.S. dollar, the highest level for the Russian currency since September 2024. Some foreign exchange booths in Moscow closed down Thursday, Russian media reported, as they failed to keep up with the sharp dollar fall. The Moscow Exchange, or MOEX index, surged 5.8% on Wednesday and another 6.1% on Thursday. PF Capital expects the ruble to likely depreciate, irrespective of how peace talks will end, and depreciate a lot faster in case of their success.
Depending on how the things will be developing further, I would expect a significant correction, even everything just stays calm without any further improvement, or there will be a very significant change if we'll hear the reversal. So if the political the news will reverse and we'll hear bad news regarding incapacity to reach any reasonable agreement. I would not put all the reasons for the corrections for just peace talks or interruption of a peace talk or pause in the peace talks. There are more news to come. And these news, I don't expect them pretty good. And Russian economic performance may disappoint many of the forecasters and market participants, which actually should result in a certain re-evaluation of the prices of many companies.
Asian stocks tracked Wall Street higher on Friday, while the dollar eased as investors contended with U.S. President Trump's reciprocal tariffs that were not immediately imposed. Hong Kong's benchmark index rose 1.6%, taking its weekly gains to about 5%, its fifth straight week of gains, and the strongest weekly performance in 4 months. The MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan edged up 0.5%, hovering near the 2-month high it touched on Thursday. The dollar index was little changed, though, after dropping 0.8% on Thursday, its biggest one-day percentage drop since January 20th. The Canadian dollar stood just above a 2-month high of $1.42 to the U.S. dollar, hit the previous day, boosted by the fall in U.S. Treasury yields. The euro hovered near its highest in more than 2 weeks at $1.05 to the U.S. dollar in early Asian trade, supported by optimism around potential peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. The sterling touched $1.25 to the USD, its firmest since January 7th. Data on Thursday showed that Britain's economy unexpectedly grew by 0.1% in the final quarter of last year. Meanwhile, oil prices rose in early trade Friday, set to snap a 3-week losing streak. That's amid rising fuel demand and expectations that Trump's plans for reciprocal global tariffs would not come into effect until April, giving more time to avoid a trade war. For the week, Brent was up 0.7% to around $75 per barrel. West Texas by 0.5% to about $71 per barrel. Analysts at JP Morgan said in a report on Friday that global oil demand also surged to 103.4 million barrels per day, up 1.4 million year on year. Gold was set for a 7th straight week of gains as Trump's plans to impose reciprocal tariffs on every country taxing U.S. imports have stoked concerns of a global trade war. U.S. President Donald Trump plans to get chip business back from Taiwan and said he would convince China to approve the sale of TikTok. Speaking on semiconductors and other industries, Trump said those bringing factories back to the U.S. would have no tariffs whatsoever.
We want those companies to come to our country, in all due respect. You know, they took the business away. Taiwan took our chip business away. We had Intel, we had these great companies that did so well, and it was taken from us, and we want that business back. We want it back in the United States.
Also in remarks to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump said he still hopes to make a deal on TikTok to keep the app alive in the U.S. Trump said he believed Chinese President Xi Jinping would agree to approve the sale of TikTok to a U.S. buyer, as it would also be in China's interest. Last month, Trump gave TikTok 75 days to secure a new ownership or face being shut out of the U.S. on national security grounds. He credits the app with almost 200 million American users with helping him win the 2024 presidential election.
And I'm sure it can be extended, but let's see. I don't think you'll need to. We have a lot of people interested in TikTok, and I hope to be able to make a deal. I think it would be good. You know, people have learned it's very popular, and we'll have to probably get approval from China to do it. But we have a lot of people that are interested, and a lot of people, I think China will be interested because it's to their benefit too. So I look forward to that.
And TikTok actually returned to the Android and Apple app stores as of Friday in the U.S. Well, Trump 2.0 wants reciprocal tariffs on every country that imposes duties on U.S. imports, and it doesn't matter whether you're a friend or a foe. The American president has already tasked his economic team to devise a plan and calculate tariffs to match those charged by other nations. He says the move aims to level the playing field.
And they say this is going to be the thing that makes our country really prosperous again. And this is going to be what pays down to $36 trillion in debt and all the other things. And this is going to be, this is an amazing day. I think this is going to be a very big day and in a very positive way for our country.
As Trump ramps up the prospect of a global trade war, the U.S. and India are boosting trade ties. Both countries setting a target to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's on a visit to the U.S., says focus will be on oil and gas. Other areas include agriculture, nuclear energy, and defense.
I think some very big things to talk about. Number one is they're going to be purchasing a lot of our oil and gas. We have more oil and gas than any other country in the world by far. And they need it, and we have it. And we're going to talk about trade. We're going to talk about many things. But it's really an honor to see you. And you have been my friend for a long time. And congratulations on having done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Though ties between Washington and New Delhi are warm, it is unlikely India will be spared of Trump's reciprocal tariffs. Business and economy news from around the country in a moment. Newsfeed Business will be back. Stay with us on BNC. Civil society groups led by the Right to Know, Right Now coalition urged the Supreme Court to compel the Commission on Elections and its private partner, Miru joint venture, to disclose all documents related to their election contract. Let's get details from our correspondent, Hannah T., who joins us on the line from Quezon City. Hannah, what did the COMELEC say about this?
Raine, the Commission on Elections assures the public of full transparency in its processes. In response, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia said that the Commission has already provided the requested documents, including the updated agreement and financial details. The contract is worth nearly 18 billion pesos and covers the procurement of machines and services for the 2025 midterm elections. For the R2KRN coalition, this is the first time they're asking a private entity or party to directly provide information to the public.
Sa ating pong palagay ay kapag ka ang isang pribadong korporasyon ay gumagampan ng isang napakaselan, napakahalagang tungkulin na nakadaan para sa pampublikong institusyon kagaya ng COMELEC, pagbilang ng mga boto, sa pag-appreciate ng mga boto, pag-transmit hanggang sa canvassing at including a lot of the trainings that are happening to prepare our own COMELEC officials ay tungkulin ng PUJ.
The group also questioned the withdrawal of St. Timothy Construction Corporation from the joint venture in October. St. Timothy backed out during the filing of certificates of candidacy last year because of a conflict of interest involving one of its owners who expressed intent to run in the elections. The following month, the COMELEC announced that Miru had delivered over 110,000 automated counting machines for the midterm polls. Miru joint venture, meanwhile, reaffirmed its commitment to ensure an efficient and transparent election. Miru confirmed that the machines are safely stored at the COMELEC warehouse in Biñan, Laguna. They encouraged the group to inspect the machines and follow project updates through COMELEC's online platforms. The project, according to Miru, is on schedule and fully compliant with regulations to ensure a credible and orderly election. Back to you, Raine.
Thank you so much for that report. Hannah T., live on the line from Quezon City, and stay dry. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is keeping interest rates steady at 5.75%, prioritizing inflation stability amid global uncertainties. In the first monetary policy meeting of the year, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas kept its benchmark interest rate, maintaining levels set in December. Overnight deposit and lending rates also remain steady at 5.25% and 6.25%. The Monetary Board noted that inflation forecasts remain largely in line with previous estimates. Despite market expectations of a rate cut, the BSP is taking a cautious stance as it monitors inflation risks and external economic factors.
Normally, we would have cut further, but something has changed. The thing that has changed is the uncertainty over what's going on globally, especially the uncertainty over trade policy. But there are other sources of uncertainty, and we're not quite comfortable with evaluating the impact of that.
One analyst says a lower reserve requirement ratio will still inject liquidity, allowing banks to lend more. But with the U.S. Fed also holding rates and global trade under threat, the peso stability is in focus. Dr. John Paulo Rivera, Senior Research Fellow at the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, tells the Bilyonaryo news channel's Follow the Money, this cautious approach reflects the BSP's focus on external risks while ensuring liquidity for economic growth. Atram's head of macroeconomics and sustainability research, meanwhile, will be watching the effect of the BSP's monetary policy stance on the peso, the country's dollar reserves, and just as important, its credit ratings.
Important part of how it sort of like affects our business costs. So one of the things that we're kind of how would say this, the things that have changed, and I think this kind of matters to the central bank, is our dollar reserves had peaked in October around $112 billion. I think the latest report is about 103. So that's like a $9 billion decline for the past 3 months. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a significant change. And if you look at our economic history since the 1960s, whenever our reserves are kind of volatile, that actually spells a bit of a concern. This is the uncertainty that we're talking about. And I think it's just prudent for the central bank to hold off on the rates. And because the reserves are very important to maintain our, our credit ratings.
On to a big win for Bilyonaryo Tony Tan Caktiong as the Philippine Stock Exchange approved Jollibee's request to remove a 40% foreign ownership limit. That means more foreign buyers can now invest in the fast food giant. To make this happen, Jollibee amended its Articles of Incorporation, removing rules that allowed it to own or mortgage land, which previously restricted foreign ownership. Jollibee shares surged 11% yesterday following the PSE approval. The landmark decision positions Jollibee Foods Corporation for greater strategic investments and potentially stronger financial backing. Analysts say this could set a precedent for other corporations looking to attract foreign capital.
With the no cap ownership of Jollibee right now, it's actually projecting to investors that you can have greater confidence in JFC's corporate governance and our long-term strategy. And as a market participant for Jollibee stocks, we can actually move towards stronger capital raising capabilities of Jollibee, potentially leading to a positive stock price reaction. That's why we can see that after that announcement, the stock price of Jollibee actually surged up.
Another analyst says the Philippines already removed a lot of limitation in foreign ownership.
Well, I think we've already lifted a lot of restrictions. I mean, we just had the Public Service Act. I think so. We've already lifted foreign ownership limits for specific industries such as energy. So I think the regulatory component is already supportive of additional FDI coming here to the Philippines, and of course portfolio inflows. I think it's still going to be growth. I mean, just going back to Jollibee, I mean, we'll have to wait until the fourth quarter earnings start coming in, and we'll validate whether, during a period of in the fourth quarter, we had 6 typhoons in a month. So did that have an impact on growth? I mean, clearly the GDP number said yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, some billionaires will not be receiving their Valentine's gift this year. That's after the Bureau of Customs found 1.4 billion pesos worth of supercars and other imported luxury vehicles in warehouses in Pasay City and Parañaque City Thursday. Several units of Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Maybachs, and Maseratis were found in warehouses in those cities by an operation by the Bureau of Customs Intelligence and Investigation Service. The BOC-CIIS received photos of allegedly smuggled luxury vehicles being sold online from its sources. The group is checking on their respective import documents, duties, and taxes. The BOC identified the sellers as AC Che Go Miao in Pasay City and Top Car Specialist and Trading Corp in Parañaque City. Those locations also had units of Ferrari LaFerrari, Lamborghini McLaren, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and in Parañaque City, the team also found Rolls-Royce Cullinan, Ferrari SF90 Stradale, and Mansory. The owners or any parties responsible for the warehouses were given 15 days from the receipt of their LOAs to submit the necessary documents proving that duties and taxes were paid correctly. Well, all may be fair in love and war, but not for traders after the Philippine shares snapped its two-day winning streak on Valentine's Day. That's as investors continue to digest the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas' surprise decision to keep monetary policy at 5.75% yesterday. The PSE index ended lower by 0.8% to close at 60.61, finishing the day as the third worst performer in Asia. Among sectoral indices, only mining and oil ended in the green, with property falling the most by nearly 2%. Advancers narrowly outpaced decliners 82 to 81. Total value turnover stood at 5.2 billion pesos. Week on week, the PSE index was down by 0.8%. The day's most active stocks ended mixed, with Ayala Land falling the most by almost 4%, but Philex Mining has the biggest gain, more than 6%. Meanwhile, at the foreign exchange market, peso is currently trading at 57.87, strengthening from the previous close of 58.06. That's rather weakening from the previous close of 58.06 to the US dollar after BSP's monetary policy pause. And that's a wrap for today's Newsfeed Business. Thank you for making us your daily source of financial insights. I'm Raine Musñgi. Join us again on Monday as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News channel. Follow the Money's next at 4:30. See you then.
Rosas at tsokolate. Ito ang mga classic Valentine's Day gift. Pero iba na daw ang uso ngayon, lalo na sa mga Gen Z. Maraming post sa social media ang nagpapahiwatig na hindi lang basta regalo ang hinahanap ngayon, kundi experiences na pwedeng i-share. Sabi nga nila, moments over material things. At sa aming nahanap ngayon para sa Valentine's Day, pwedeng pagsamahin ng dalawa. Ito ang sweet experience ng Chocolate Masterclass na pwedeng gawin kasama ang inyong loved ones. Ang teacher, ang internationally awarded chocolatier na si Chef Elie Salar ng Patisserie Le Chocolat. Welcome to the chocolate room. Para masubok ang masterclass, ginawa ko itong mother and son date kasama si Nikos, na pinaglihi din sa chocolate. Yum! Pagpasok pa lang, amoy ng tsokolate ang sasalubong sa'yo. Sa class na ito, matututunan ang bean-to-bar process. Mula sa refining, tempering, hanggang sa decorating. Itinuro ni Chef Ellie ang iba't ibang paraan ng paggawa ng tsokolate.
Not bad. First try.
Bonus pa ang pagturo ng technique sa mirror glazing ng kanyang signature entremet cakes. Sa huli, hindi lang memories ang maiuwi dito dahil matitake home din ang chocolates na ginawa mo sa chocolate studio. Bukod sa techniques, kakaibang bonding ang hatid ng interactive chocolate experience. Hindi man siya regalong i-unbox o binubuksan, ang shared learning sa chocolate making class ay isang alaalang pwedeng balik-balikan. Para sa Agenda, Marie Lozano, Bilyonaryo News Channel.